at the age of 18 as she went out on the hunting ground with her parents. I was in college at that time. When I came back, this is what she told me. He said, Matthew, if you want to be the leader of our people, you should go out on the land. Got to walk the land. Go back to our hunting grounds and learn from your father. That's exactly what we did. That was her advice, and I took it. And I'm glad I did. Now, students and distinguished guests, friends and ladies and gentlemen, I too have been motivated, inspired to listen to my colleagues. But I was also really moved when Caroline and Jeremy spoke this morning. Young people who stood up, stated their views, and not being afraid. But after hearing from the leaders have said they've done a good job. That to me, I think achieved what we wanted to here. To understand where we came from and what we went through. And I was really moved by their statements. As we are about to conclude what has been a very full and interesting weekend, I would like to direct my closing remarks today to our Cree students. There has been a lot of information given to you this weekend about our Cree history, our challenges, our struggles, and our visions for the future. There has been a lot to take in and a lot to understand. I know you have been given a great deal of information to think about. You have a lot of reflecting to do to figure out what it means for our collective future as an indigenous nation and what it all means for you as individuals. Please take the time to reflect on what you have been told this weekend. Talk to each other. Talk to your families. Talk to your leaders. Each and every one of you has been challenged this weekend to take on a great responsibility and to make a contribution to the further building of our Cree nation. You have been challenged to grasp just what the mission of your generation is. And you have been asked to rise to the occasion and to meet the challenges head on. What you have been challenged to do is to be responsible for the future of the Cree nation. And I know this is not an easy burden for you to think about. It is, however, the truth. The future of the Cree nation, our ability to build on the struggles, on the achievements, and the historical agreements of the last 40 years, and our ability to create an indigenous nation as a model for the world, seizing the opportunity to be the major economic and political force of Northern Quebec, fulfilling the vision of becoming the masters of our destiny. All that will rest on your shoulders. What is common to both your generation and my generation is that destiny has called upon us to be pioneers. My generation, and we were all very young at that time, was called upon to protect the Cree way of life, to protect our land and resources, to bring the living conditions in our communities out of the third world, and to take on the responsibilities of operating and managing our communities, our entities, and our regional administrations. We had a huge responsibility that were placed upon us. And we also needed to reflect on how to respond to that challenge. We needed to reflect on what it all meant for our collective futures as communities and as a nation. And we needed to reflect on what it all meant for us as individuals. You have heard this weekend what the challenge is for your generation. It is no less difficult a challenge and no less an important challenge than what my generation faced. When the challenge was placed before my generation, we were not ready for it. We had not expected or anticipated, and we didn't see it coming. The James Bay Hydroelectric Project was announced, and when we heard about it, everything changed. The day when we heard about the project was profoundly different from the day before, and our world suddenly was very different. Some of us had plans for our future. Some of us had ideas of what we might like to do with our lives. And some of us were simply exploring all kinds of different possibilities. All that changed. And we needed to reflect, to reorient our lives, and to go in directions we never imagined we would go. We were all called upon to put on hold our personal plans, our individual goals, and to blaze a new trail and to enter uncharted territory on behalf of our nation. It is that pioneering spirit that your nation is now asking you to take on. I can tell you also that the journey which destiny imposed on my generation of leaders has given all of us such a high degree of meaning and purpose to our lives that we can look back on the last 40 years in hindsight and be grateful to have had the opportunity to be part of that journey. And we are appreciative to have been called upon to make the sacrifices and to make a contribution. In spite of all the hardships, in spite of all the burdens, in spite of all the anguish and uncertainties about whether we were doing the right thing or not, the journey has been worth it. It has been worth it because we are now at the moment in our history when we will soon be handing the baton to the next generation who will be receiving an honorable legacy. There are times in the history of a nation when the right question for people to be asking is not, what's in it for me? But rather, how can I contribute? There are times in the history of our nation when the right question to be asking is not, how can the Cree nation serve me? But rather, how can I serve the Cree nation? That time is now, and those questions are yours to reflect upon. My generation's challenge resulted in many cases in our needing to leave school, return to our communities to serve our nation. Your generation's challenge is to stay in school. Have a clear focus for your studies so that you also can return to your communities and serve our nation. You have heard this weekend about all the employment opportunities which are before us in a wide range of professional, technical, administrative areas, and I don't need to repeat those. But they are real, and it will be in taking on these positions with competence, with dedication, and with commitment that we will realize our visions for the future. At this moment in our history, your nation needs you to take on the challenge. Your nation needs your commitment, your energy, and your determination. Your nation needs your hearts and your minds focused on the future of Inuit. You have been called upon to achieve the noble and ambitious vision of a healthy and a prosperous Indigenous nation which can be a model for the world. It will require the pure hearts, the clear minds, and the healthy bodies of our youth. Please join me in the historic journey, a journey placed before us by our destiny and by faith, of building the Cree nation, of building an Indigenous nation of quality, and character which the world has not yet seen before. Please continue that historic journey embarked upon by the current generation of leaders, as well as those leaders who have sadly departed us. Please know that the struggles over the past 40 years took its toll on us, and a number of our leaders left us far too early in their lives. Know also that we were supported and guided by the wisdom of our elders, and supported by the unsung heroes of our achievements, the wives who maintained peace and tranquility at home, while many of us were on the front lines of our struggles. Knowing what the challenge will be for you, knowing what the responsibilities will be for you, and knowing what is within your grasp to achieve, prepare yourselves to receive the baton in a way which will bring pride to you personally, and will provide you an equally meaningful legacy to leave for the generation to follow. Win sittum stabim nanisen. Majid screamed nanagaju tud meg danyanga tud mas. It do bassett George dieg. It do mam scat George it teach. Dan this got it steak jano nuts me no win bag not mothers. Majid screamed no jo usni George. Jeji tud meg jagon eskagan danyang tud mas. Jeji wap teach get yo. Dan says you just mashik dan it go in yaneji wap match jeji tud mas. Ik jo minute don't de jej teach. A kag je nyanek je a biat de cheno gumkt. Mum chat. And you know, it was a great evening. I just want to say thank you to all the organizers and to everyone. And whoever leaves this room, please close the lights. And please close the door. And do not let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Thank you very much.